Welcome to the Gigless Podcast, a podcast showcasing the works and talents of those who lost their gigs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This podcast will feature a range of creatives from the tri-state area who are young visionaries and who contribute to their craft despite the recent events that have happened. Join us today as our host Remi Leibovic speaks with Drew, Will, and Cole from the Philadelphia band The Space Gurus. Formed in 2018, the trio finds inspiration from iconic rock bands such as Pink Floyd, The Grateful Dead, Parliament Funkadelic, and Jimi Hendrix. The band pushes the narrative of bringing back classic rock to the mainstream, as well as driven to stimulate the minds of their listeners. Their latest work, the Valley Roads EP, released in February of 2020. You can learn more about the band and their other projects in the show notes of this episode. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into this episode of Gigless. So today I am here with the Space Gurus, Drew, Will, and Cole, and they're going to tell us about your band.
Excellent. You want to start off with like introductions?
Yeah.
All right, let's go around the clock here. Let's start with like our main man here, Drew.
So my name is Drew. I'm originally from Philly, grew up in Philly, went to Northeast High School, grew up around the Burholm, Fox Chase, Longcrest area. I've been playing drums since I've been 12. Was playing in school, played a lot of jazz stuff, a lot of funky stuff. I had a really cool band teacher, so he was really doing a lot of covers of like the Isley Brothers and like Parliament and Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then I stopped playing drums when I was like 18, 17. Didn't pick it up until 20, 21. And I met these guys, but we can go farther than that later on. But so I've been playing drums for a while, and just a Philly kid trying to spread my wings and get the music going. So.
And is music your full-time profession, or is it like a balance of two things?
It's a balance of two things. So I went to Bernathen College. I graduated with a psychology degree, and I work at a behavioral health center. It's called Foundations Behavioral Health up in Dolestown as my full-time job as a mental health technician. And I do plan on pursuing a psychology degree later down the line, but music for sure is the passion and the heart. So I do that at night and, daydreaming and whatnot. So that's the plan. Yeah.
My name's Cole. I was born in Hershey, PA. Eventually came to the Philly area in 2014 when I went to college at Bernathen College. And that's where kind of we all met in the chapel band. There's really not much of a music scene going on in Hershey. So when I came to Bernathen, it was very lively musically, a lot of people to play with. And it was like really awesome to be able to have a creative outlet finally. To kind of just like experiment with other people, play like, just good old fashioned rock covers, with a couple of professors and with my roommate at the time. And it was just a really great way to get into it. So I also play like, I dabble in the piano, dabble in the drums, started out playing the viola in middle school. That was a great way to start things off, very zen in a way, being in that kind of like background rhythm position. But it gets you a basis for music starting that, and I know I think Drew can say the same, like getting that foundational part of music, and especially at an early age, like is an awesome thing. So yeah.
No, it's definitely something that if you learn at a very young age, like it's going to stick with you for life. Like no matter like what instrument you go to.
Yeah, it's nice. And I should also know that like the guitar is my main thing. Got inspired in middle school whenever Guitar Hero was like the big thing, and I played Guitar Hero, and I found myself just like playing the game and just loving it, and like got to expert and was like, man, I really need more than this. And then I picked up the real guitar, and my grandparents were like, hey, check out this video of Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock, and I was like, yeah, my life's never going to be the same from now. So
as you can see behind him.
yeah, as you can see, like heavily invested,
Yeah.
And that's
how was it when you found out that like the tabs weren't the same thing?
Yeah. Well, that was one thing, and then I eventually, after like learning some of the songs on Guitar Hero on the real guitar, you go back to try and play it on Guitar Hero, and you're like, this is like a whole different world. You even see videos of like people like Slash or other like bigger guitarists like playing Guitar Hero, and they can't do it, and they're like, this is crazy. I wrote this song and I can't play it on Guitar Hero.
Yeah. So Will, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so in terms of music, I've been playing since a young age as well. I went to Waldorf school when I was younger, which requires you to play an instrument from 6 years old. So I picked cello, and we would learn music theory and notation and sing and all of that. So it's been really close to me. So I've always been working with my hands, and that's what I was in school for. Yeah, so I'm in Bernathen College still, actually, graduating next year for in a program for metalwork, and that is kind of supplementary to the music, but art is just kind of where I'm focused in life in general. I play bass in the band, and with bass, I started when I was 16, a little while after cello, because I took a bit of a break. Cello was I don't know, once I got to 14, being in an orchestra was like not really the musical setting I was interested in, but it definitely helped in terms of just understanding the place that bass has in music, because cello and bass and their respective arenas have a really similar role, kind of blending the rhythm with the percussion melodically. And a lot of my theory in the way I think about and approach it comes from cello, actually. And then I was blessed to get two stints at Berklee College of Music in Boston. I did 2 5 weeks, and boy, I would not be the same musician without that. I mean, there's a level of just in classroom music theory that I didn't really think was necessary until it all gets plopped on your desk. And I don't understand any of that to this day, but it definitely influenced me.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent program to get into if you're a musician. Even just taking courses from that school, I've heard that a lot of musicians benefit from it. So I've heard only good things. So it's always good to have like an extra course in your toolkit, I feel, as a creative person, so you can get that perspective.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I had bassists, teach me on a blackboard, samba rhythms and stuff like that. It's like, where else would you get an experience like that? And, so I really treasure that. And I try to hold on to all that knowledge. But yeah.
So for our audience that have never seen you play or never heard your music, so which one of you is the singer?
Me and Cole kind of split it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Cole's taken more of the singing foreground going forward.
It's a bold task.
Yeah, no, singing is definitely I did choir for basically like my whole, middle school and high school, but I did competitive choir in high school, and that was like, I never soloed. So I always like give props to people who solo. Yeah, because I was listening before this interview, I was listening to your new EP, Crazy Woman, on Spotify.
There you can find all of it there.
There you go.
What'd you think?
I thought I liked it. I was just like,
oh, thank you.
I was like, this is definitely like whenever they shoot the shot in a movie and it's just that like, you're going to find something in the basement going on. You don't know what you're going to find, but you're like, you're going to find something in that basement, or you're going to smell something in that basement. I was like, yeah.
Smell something, you said.
So I was just listening to it, and I was like eating salad. I was like, this is excellent.
Well, thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So that's your latest EP. And can you tell our audience about some of your other albums or some of the other projects that you guys have worked on?
Well, we're brand new, in fact. That is the only thing we've released. There is a great deal of music being cooked up right now. It's on pause in a lot of ways. But we have an album in the works. The original plan was by the end of summer. We'll see. But yeah, we're brand new. We've been playing together for almost 2 years now. And
we have some demos actually too up on YouTube right now of 2 songs actually. One is Pressure Point and the other one is That's All She Wrote, featuring our man Drew on vocals, which is like it's a really that's a really chill song, and Pressure Point's pretty much all instrumental. So it's kind of demos recorded from our old studio that we used to have that actually recently got decommissioned. But it's kind of like a live demo. It's you can check it out, slammed together on iMovie, the good old fashioned way. And that's also some more content up there. So I would say there's 5 songs. Well, and the demo that's also available for Shiva, which is turned in kind of into a jam we call Funk Shiva. That brings a little bit more of a funk element rather than a traditional Latin style like you might hear in that song. So yeah, I would say there's probably about like 6 songs like accessible right now and more of a completed form.
We're a really big jam band. We all like to play for long times on the same riffs and really switch it up style wise and change the sounds of one song. And we have a lot of that content on our Instagram page because we do our live streams weekly on Facebook and Instagram, and all that stuff gets cut and edited and go right on our Instagram, and that's daily content. But that's like a big thing that you're not going to see on Spotify ever, or Apple Music. Is that we do love the jam. Like I love the Grateful Dead and Pink Floyd, and he's a Jimi Hendrix guy, and Will loves the funk. So
Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah,
they could jam for a little too long.
Yeah, we're a big jam band. That's when people come see us live. That's what we like to get into.
So speaking about live shows, what's your typical gig for those of us listening that have never seen you play before?
We have a big drive of going to open mics and kind of stunning the crowds, and then basing off of that, we had a big last summer, I guess, was our first really big scene on the open mic stuff around Philly. Manioc. We went to Dawson Street Pub, which is a great bar to play in. We played in the Grape Room. We played, and that got us not gigs to the start, but it got us meeting people, and then later on being recommended to play gigs in Jersey, to play gigs, and we played a gig at Noble Earth in Bristol. We played a gig at the Fire. We have gigs lined up, and it was the open mic scene was really kind of the first like get your foot in the door kind of thing.
Weedman's doing too.
And it's a chill sort of show, it's a little jamming. It's a couple of our, more established songs. We fill a lot of the time, like Drew said, with just like, we're going to pick 1 or 2 chords and we're going to see what happens, like live on stage. And we really like doing that. And we kind of thrive in that pressure environment.
Right.
Drew is like excellent at like giving us some kind of cue. I don't know if it's at this point it's like ingrained where like we'll be at a certain tempo, upbeat, and then he'll do some kind of fill, and we just are on the same wavelength where we kind of just flow into a different section, and it happens spontaneously. Like that's one thing that we like can't emphasize enough is that a lot of these jams you hear, they're straight improv from like the ground up, and it's amazing, especially from a rhythmic standpoint. To be able to flow like that and to transition helps keep it fresh too. So when you're going for 10 minutes, it's not like getting stale on the same beat for, that long.
Yeah. And I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so would you say you guys are in tune?
Definitely.
Where's your drum kit, Drew?
Yeah. All of our songs have been created just us playing for a couple hours and like at the end of the day and saying, you want to write a song with that? And then it's just like the next day coming in and then it's done in a week. And then we're just practicing. And from there on, we never like had the downfall of, damn, we got to write a song right now. Like we need to write a song. It's never been like that. And it's a great feeling when it's smooth like that.
Well, and it's kind of incredible. It's continued like that. Like a lot of the time I feel like you run out of steam. And, I guess we are completing the first album now. So the future is to be seen. But where we are with this impromptu writing, it seems to not, give us more issues than it's worth. And I think a lot of that comes from like us willing to be supportive musicians to each other. Because I think our whole idea is that like me and Drew are giving Cole the space to like technically shine a lot of the time.
Right.
We establish a groove and we can kind of be flexible with that groove, and Cole can take that groove to like almost an operatic place, where he's singing.
You're making me blush. Jeez, man, that's flattering. Holy crap.
Maybe if you're gonna do that, you might want to put pants on.
My friend. Operatic. That's one I've never heard, man. That's
oh yeah, I mean, cool, because you like Floyd, you like Jimmy, you have those soaring guitar moments, where you are heavily inspired by metal, and you can do a big lead up to this moment, but then that whole time we're just chugging along, and that's kind of where we want to be a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But it's really great when Will and I will like look at each other and kind of hang back a little bit, and then Drew starts going on some crazy thing, and the drum set's about to rattle off. It's what fastens it to the ground. It's just about to fall off the stage pretty much, and then you have that nice big bombastic ending.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you had stuff lined up, and then COVID-19 hit. How are you guys coping with this as a band? Like, how many gigs have you guys lost, or potential? Like, how much have you guys?
One big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A big one that we had set up.
Yeah. We lost 3 gigs that was lined up. And then we had 2 potential gigs that are now like, when in contacted, it was like people, I don't know, because every month you check the CDC or any daily update you get, it's every business is starting a month more, a month more, a month more. So gigs are cut right now. Money
It's
is
just out of the question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's out of the question. There's no need. We've kind of even put that out of our thought. We understand that it's there when we come back, because when everybody comes back, they're gonna pick up where they left off with new
Right.
music. They're gonna have the same mindset, just completely new music and a hunger that people haven't seen maybe since coming out of high school when they first go to a bar and play music.
Real shit.
Yeah. And so, are you guys as a band working with limited resources? Like, are you guys quarantining at home? Do you guys have a home studio? You guys are all separate.
Yeah,
So-
we had a home studio, and we had an arrangement. I think Cole can speak more to this, but all of that just went down the drain, and we're now scrambling to split our gear up to anywhere we can store it, and taking a rain check.
Yeah, so there was a house that I was also renting out with a bunch of roommates. In the basement, we kind of like made a room around it and kind of decorated it up nice to like change the lighting a little bit. And where you see the live demos take place is that room. And through the years, we were able to like scrounge up some recording equipment, whatever we needed, whether it be mics or like a mixing board or a vocal processor, and kind of put that into the mix. And then kind of at the end, we were able to record like demos out of that room at a live thing, which was like awesome. But then the house eventually got sold, and we thought the landlord kind of told us we had more time, and then she kind of like cut it, with like COVID going on. She's like, I really got to get rid of this house. It's costing me more money than what it's worth. And at that point, this was just actually this week. So taking that room actually fully apart now.
Yeah, I still have to get over there and grab my giant bass amp and all this stuff. That's like this headache that we were hoping we were good, that we had a place for it,
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. And for our listeners, today is currently April 28th. So the week that he's referring to is this week. And yeah, no, I'm so sorry that you guys lost your like in-home studio. And have you guys tried experimenting with, Zoom or Skype or other things to play together, or do they just not work?
They do not work on a musical standpoint, playing at the same time. We've come up with ideas of practicing with recording ourselves and then joining the recordings,
mixing it together. Yeah.
But we do have an idea of maybe doing some live streams outside. And
yes.
We have all the equipment, and we could get a good sound, and it's very pretty outside now. So the outside is free, and nature does do pleasing for lighting and sound. So I live in a small apartment, and currently my drum set is the vocal point of the apartment. Thank God I cleaned it and whatnot and made it look pretty, because before it was greasy looking. But like yeah, we I cannot wait till we get playing again, because as a musician, looking at the set every day is killing. I've been playing drums in my car, like with sticks on the dashboard and like on the like steering wheel, like when I'm on break. And yeah, COVID-19. Yes, there's downfalls to it, but we'll get through. Musically, there's a big positive to it. There's a lot of time to think. A lot of time to think.
And practice.
Yes, and practice individually. And we had a lot of time to promote also. We've been getting our music on playlists, and it's been doing wonders to our streaming and numbers. So
yeah. And I know that a lot of you know, musicians and artists are going towards Twitch and other big, you know, streaming platforms. So getting on to the next question, are you guys looking into different ways and expressing yourselves through music? Or so Cole, you're nodding.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely plan on like doing streaming at least. I don't know about the rest of the band, but definitely plan on streaming like material, at least just even practicing. You know, I like have a little home studio set up here to like enough to be able to like kind of show stuff. And I know Drew also plays bass, right? You'd be able to like stream some bass stuff also.
Yeah, I play bass. I've been learning the bass for the last year and a half now. I play a lot of percussions, a lot of bongos, congos. I bought a mini little lap like keyboard, so I'm gonna learn that with the drum box. So Drew's gonna go in home studio mode soon. So there's gonna be a lot of new musical expression coming out of the Space Gurus for sure.
A lot of riff writing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think, I mean, thinking about it, this is a perfect opportunity for me to learn piano, which is something I've been looking for time to do for years. So, you know, we'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing loop streams with the bass and trying to keep our just content up on our media presences, you know.
Flap and pop. Everybody like is so fascinated by that. That's not a musician for the bass. When you like slap and pop a bass,
It's
or
fun.
do hammers, people are like, "Oh my god, what is that?" And it's like,
yeah, but there's what I can do, and then there's like Joe Dart, and it's like, well, why am I even trying? You know, like I don't know. That's how that's why I approach like looping. I think because then I can build like a musical piece, whereas I don't know if I'm actually personally technically skilled enough to like do an impressive solo thing, you know.
yeah.
I would disagree on that, Will.
I got a lot of work to do.
You have time to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, you know, taking a more introspective look on all of this, as musicians, like, are you coping with it through playing new instruments or looking into new avenues for your music, or are you just taking a pause?
Well, I know me personally, I've taken a bit of a pause from music. I kind of thrive more in a band setting. I've found playing on my own, I feel like I lose direction all the time. What I have turned to art-wise is metal work. I have like an anvil set up in the back, and I have a blowtorch for annealing, and I've been doing small-scale sculpture and jewelry because I need income. So Etsy has become very attractive all of a sudden. So yeah, so that's where I've been kind of keeping busy.
We'll put your Etsy link in the show notes.
Well, it's not started yet, but I don't have enough work as of yet. Let's see. I know that this isn't going to be very good for audio, but.
So he's holding up what looks like a bay leaf.
Yeah, it's a copper bay leaf sort of thing. I'm doing earrings and such.
I'll take one of those. We'll pair those.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I could give you the first if you want. Try them out, endorse them.
Yeah, definitely. I love metal. I love metal jewelry. I feel that like it's just, I don't know, like I just get a good feeling from it. And so Cole, Drew, what other artistic avenues are you guys going through?
I'm thinking about starting like my own kind of streaming thing. I've been trying to do that for a long time, and I just never got around to it. Just because, like, you know, the band has always come first in that regard. You know, if I'm gonna put a lot of effort to streaming, it's gonna be towards streaming our stuff. But now that we can't really do that for the time being, I've kind of like I was just fiddling with it beforehand, getting everything kind of around. And I love metal. That's like one of my huge inspirations. Metallica, Slayer, bands like that. Even like death metal, has like crept its way into my inspiration, and you'll hear that maybe in some of our solos where I'll throw in like a harmonic minor scale that sounds very like doom and gloom, like I don't know quite how to describe it, like spooky almost.
Ooh, like Ghost.
Yeah, kind of, but like I would think if like Toccata on Feig, or however you say that, it's kind of like that kind of scale. anyways, but like stuff like that, maybe just writing my own kind of music, definitely writing riffs for the band. But I think one thing that we're all going to try to do is kind of maybe put together like a bass track, or not, and by bass I mean like BASE, like something like I'll write a guitar riff and I'll send it over to Drew and say, hey, maybe you could like throw some like congos on here or something, and then he'll throw it in and kind of have like a working project that we all kind of toss around to each other and are able to add to, and then we're kind of writing music that way over the line, so to speak.
It's like a musical game of picnic.
Cheers. Yeah, music.
Yeah, I like that. Drew, what are your other avenues?
I always tend to get back to music, but in the last couple of years, I've been really coming at peace with myself and my spirituality. And during this time, having like such a downtime, you can either choose the path of getting bored or kind of focusing on yourself. So I've been doing a lot of mindfulness and kind of meditating. I work in a crisis setting, so I still have to get up in the morning. But those 15 minutes in the morning are key, and especially that I know that everybody else is at home all day. I should make time to do that. But even during those times, those thoughts of writing and music still kind of get to my head. I feel like I have a disease kind of these beats that just they cannot get out of my head. Music is when I want to sleep sometimes it does not stop. And it sucks and it's great. So yeah, I've been trying to focus on myself just on that aspect of not being a person living day by day.
Yeah, I've been trying to establish a routine in the morning as well, and trying to incorporate more mindfulness in my day as well. So I totally understand, and I'm going to be sending you some stuff about that, because that's interesting that you guys are interested in it.
Or gurus, after all, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Meditating is huge from a health standpoint, even at controlling your blood pressure. It's actually amazing. It's quite profound.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was saying it's one of those things I can connect the triangle of the human, the spiritual, the physical, and the mental. Not many activities or behaviors in your life can do that. And in every religion, there's a form of meditation.
I've been taken to yoga and stretching. I've been trying to do that every morning.
Smart.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like active meditation.
That's good that you guys are focusing on meditation as a whole. I mean, with the name like Space Gurus, it's so interesting. And we could have like a whole other podcast episode about that. But so that's great. And where do you guys see the Space Gurus going in the future? And where do you guys see yourselves as individuals growing musically?
Yeah, well, we actually talked about this really recently before everything hit the fan. And yeah, I mean, we're working really hard to, have a tour and, really be an established East Coast band, at least if it's Philadelphia or whatever. But, what we want is, years to come of us playing together and turning this into a job and, income. And I don't know if you guys have any more you want to add to that. And
I'll let Drew talk on this, because Drew's the one that really always has his eyes set on the horizon and is really like, driving us forward as far as like, what kind of plan are we going to have? So
it's true.
How about it, Drew?
Yeah, you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. I think focusing on the horizon is key, but the day-to-day plan is getting the music out in the summer. Personally, I see myself as a musician. I want to get into all types of music, playing all types of gigs and bands, not bands per se, but just projects. And I know with the Gurus, we have so much things going on that like this summer with the gigs all planned that we had planned before COVID, the summer and fall would have been a really big jump. We would have had a lot of eyes on us and maybe possible studio time and whatnot. And we were shooting for radio time. And I think that's our next step is going.
You guys got radio time.
Yeah. Rock radio is dying in America. Philadelphia has a great hub of about 3 channels of 104.5, 93.3, and then 102.9 that gets a lot of viewers like across the country. And we know 104.5 does a lot of local stuff. Yes, WXPN also.
Yeah.
Do the big
we wanted to do their open mic and we were in, setting up to be a part of it, and I don't think any of that's happening now. So
don't get discouraged, because what Gigless is also doing, if you guys follow us on Instagram, what we are doing is every time I follow WFUV, which is the public radio station up in New York, I follow WXPN, all these things, like I always keep my ear to the ground. So if they're having something where it's like come one, come all, I will repost it, because I think that's sharing resources with our Gigless community.
Absolutely. That's much
much
appreciated.
thanks.
Thank you.
No.
I gotta say
Repost
one
it,
thing. We have like
share
a
it.
slogan, and I think that's one thing important for our viewers to listen to, because anybody that's interested in like classic rock, and I think I really want to build off what Drew said, because he said rock is dying in America and maybe even all over. Well, definitely not all over the world, because there's especially in Europe, rock is huge still. But in America, it's dying, and I think our main goal as a band is to bring classic rock back into the modern era. Is to really kind of give people that, like, you sit around, you listen to the Doors, you listen to Floyd, and you're like, man, why don't we have that anymore? And we really want to try and like make people say, well, we have the Space Gurus, right?
Yeah, you guys are definitely bringing that old sound back into the new age, and I'm all for it. I think that, that experimentation and pushing it, I think that it's excellent, and I think that excellent, but insert Wayne's World reference. But I think that, it's very important what you guys are doing, and I think that rock is still alive, and I think that you guys are definitely ushering in the newer generation into that.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
it's heartening to hear.
Classic rock, the main thing that classic rock is slept on is the songwriting. You can look at anything from 65, when the Beatles, the British invasion came over, to the 70s in lower Southern California, to 75 with the Eagles, and bands coming from New York all the way to California, always with the 80s. They had awesome jams and grooves, but the songwriting was killer. They were talking about deep stuff. Like, people, the modern day American was not thinking about this kind of stuff with spirituality, thinking about how we even think outside of ourselves. And a lot of music went through that phase of going through that, but people dubbed that as psychedelic and hippie-ish, and that music isn't popular now. Yeah.
But it's true that these lyrics were definitely deep. A lot of, and we have to think back to it, like if we want to take Pink Floyd, just perfect example, The War. I mean, the Wall.
I mean,
That
basically
album,
the war, though,
yeah, The War, basically post-war World War II.
Yeah.
That's where all that, inspiration to write that album, a lot of it came from.
I think that honestly, the trauma that a lot of our generation grew up in America is not talked about, and I think a lot of us maybe didn't have exactly similar experiences to London being bombed. That's a lot worse, obviously, in a lot of ways. But something like 9/11, something like that, as a child, you don't understand it and you can't process it. That doesn't go away, and I think that is I think stuff like that, and looking at the world, and us, from the position we're at as young people who are being asked to watch over this fucked up world, out of nowhere, we are thinking about these things again, so
Yeah.
I think that's where
Prime example, Gojira. They are a band that's been around for a while, but Gojira is this progressive metal band. All of their songs, everybody's like, wow, they sound so angry. They're all based around climate change. They're all based about the way that we treat the earth. They're all based about, like, a lot of internal spiritual stuff, but also that we're connected to the earth, we're connected to our environment, and when we mistreat it, we mistreat ourselves. But it's all like progressive metal, so there's a lot of like screaming and like growling
Awesome
and things
stuff.
that people would be uncomfortable. But I'm like,
yeah.
Metal hands up all over. But yeah, no, I think that's like an excellent viewpoint. That music is a way to process trauma.
Artists,
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think there's going to be COVID music coming out?
There already is.
There already
less than
is.
a minute.
Yeah.
I see
Okay.
I see a lot of streams that come out, that a lot of COVID songs people are making right now. They're just not like Spotify, but there's a lot. Yeah.
And not Adam Sandler's quarantine
isolations,
song.
themes and such.
So thank you guys so much for being on Gigless. Again, the Space Gurus with Drew, Will, and Cole. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, Dane, take us out.
Thank you for listening to the Gigless Podcast, hosted by Remi Leibovic and produced by Dane Wagner. The song used in our intro and outro is Beach Walk by Unicorn Heads. If you enjoyed this podcast, head over to our social media pages on Instagram at Gigless Podcast and our website, giglesspodcastblog.wordpress.com. There you can find out more about the artists, contact the hosts and producers, and find out more about our schedule. Thank you.